Hi guys, today I'm going to be showing you my updated nail repair routine. I've done several patching videos in the past, but I've changed a little bit of how I do them, and I know some of my new viewers may not have seen them before. I still get a lot of questions about like what's a patch or what's that on your nail. So if you'd like to see how to repair a break and apply patches, just stay tuned. I'm actually going to be working on patches on both my hands, but I'm mainly just going to be showing you guys on my left hand. On my right hand, I'm also going to be kind of building out these corners that broke off, and I've already done a video on how I do that, so it's mostly the same technique, but if you want some more details on that in particular, I'd recommend checking out that older video. Of course, you want to start out with clean, dry nails, and I've already got my breaks glued down, and you can see there's a pretty low break right here on my middle nail, and then there's a small halfway grown out break on my index nail. The patches that I use are, sorry this is sideways, but they're this Swiss silk. They're self-adhesive, and they come in a bunch of various sizes on a long little strip. And I can usually get 2 patches out of each strip. When you first get the package, you can probably find one that will fit your nail exactly, but as you start going through the package, you may have to kind of trim them to size a little bit more. And one trick that I do is the end that has this little tab can be a little stiff on your nail, so I'll go ahead and, if you can see, kind of cut on each side there, so that when I peel it off, which I find easier to do with a little pair of tweezers, you don't have that stiff end that doesn't want to kind of conform to your nail. So I'm just going to take this and carefully place it right up against the side of my nail, and you can see it has like a little bit of static electricity. It kind of wants to cling to your nail, but you want to make sure that it's right up against the side where the break is, and then smooth that on there, and then smooth it over the rest of your nail. Now this one, you can see, is a little bit too wide, so I'm just going to go in there with my little cuticle scissors and trim off the edge. Smooth the rest of that down, and then trim off the tip. And the tip doesn't have to be super neat. I don't find it very easy to get right up next to the nail, so I'll usually file that off in the next step. And just make sure that it's all well pressed down and there aren't any like loose spots or air bubbles. Now, one of the downsides to using patches is they can tend to make your nails almost too hard to the point where they're brittle, and you want your nails to have some flexibility so that they can bend a little instead of break. So what I've been doing lately is, for the first layer, instead of using the gel, I'm just using my normal nail glue. And all these products will be linked down in the information box. You don't have to like write them down as I go along. But I'm just going to take the glue and I'm going to saturate the patch. And I'm going to stay mainly on the patch. The next step, I'll be going down a little further to aid in smoothing it out. But for this first layer, I'm just going to cover the whole thing, make sure to get all the way to the edges, especially on that side where the actual break is, and then you're going to want to give it time to dry. This is 5-second glue. It does take longer than 5 seconds to dry, but it doesn't usually take more than just a couple minutes. So I'm going to apply patches on my other nails, and then we'll be back for the next step. Once the glue has dried, you can go ahead and either cut or file off the excess at the edge. I'm using my 4-way buffer, and I'm using the actual file, the blue, and basically just use a gentle touch. You don't want to be, you know, super aggressive with it. You're not trying to file your nail off. You're just trying to get this little bit of excess patch to come off. And there you go, like that. So once you've got it off, then you can just get any other little extra edges. And filing my nails on camera is always just a little bit weird and awkward because of the angle. I mean, I don't usually file my nails with my hand flat on the desk, but you just want it to be, oops, sorry, I was out of frame there. You just want it to be neat and smooth on the edge, and then I'm gonna do the same to this other nail. So if you don't have any gel, or just if your preference is to just use the glue, you could go ahead and do a second layer of glue. Over the years I've been doing this, I found that I prefer the final layer to be the gel. It wears a little longer, and I feel like it just gives me a better patch. I'm using the ASP Lightless Gel. It comes in this little kind of squeezy bottle, and mine is actually getting a little bit empty, so I hope I can get it to come out here. There we go. So you just squeeze out a little line like that. It does not come with a brush, so what I've got is an old bottle of Seche Vite filled with acetone that keeps the brush from getting stiff. And what I do is I'll have a separate little piece of napkin or paper towel, take the brush out and kind of remove the acetone, and it also flattens the brush, and then at that point use it to spread out the gel. Now with the gel, you want to go past the edge of the patch down toward your cuticle, but not all the way to the cuticle. I've found that leaving a little bit of a gap helps with lifting. If you go all the way to the cuticle with either the patch or with the gel, I've found I get more lifting. And then I also want to cap the edges just to keep it from lifting at the tip of the nail. If you have a really bad break, you may also want to apply it under the underside of your free edge. And if you feel like the brush is getting stiff, just dip it back in the polish remover and wipe it off again. And just make sure that this is very smooth and kind of as thin as you can make it. You don't want it to be super thick. So just kind of, I mean, it doesn't dry real fast until you spray the cure spray. Now this is some pretty gross stuff. Make sure you're working in a well-ventilated area, and excuse me, just hold it about, you know, at least 6 inches away from your nail, and go ahead and spray it on there, and it will set the gel in about 60 seconds. I've had questions on if you can use this to straighten out curved nails. You definitely can. Once you spray the spray, just take like an orange stick or something and kind of hold your nail straight while it dries. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this off camera, and then I'll be back. Once the cure has completely cured the gel, you'll kind of notice that you get a little bit more texture. It's not completely smooth anymore. So I go in again with the buffer, and I'll buff it first with the blue, which is not something I would ever use to buff my regular nail, but obviously with the patch on it, need something a little stronger, and then finish off with the pink side, and really try to get it as much as possible smooth. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to kind of show you guys on camera, even though, like I said, this is a little bit awkward, but go ahead and do the initial smoothing with the blue side, and then go in with the pink and continue smoothing it out. So I'm just going to finish that up and also do my other nail. And the last final step that I found makes a huge difference, especially doing it on fresh patches. It's like they're dry, but they're not completely set, is to, once you're done buffing, just take a Q-tip dipped in some acetone and kind of finish it off. And it's almost like it just melts the finish into an even smoother finish than the buffing, if that makes sense. So there you can see the difference. I mean, obviously, you know, if I'd washed my hands, that would have gotten rid of the excess dust from the buffing, but finishing it with acetone just really gives it a really glossy, smooth finish. And depending on what nail polish you're going to use, that can make a huge difference. Sometimes in the past, when I've had patches, it's like I would put on polish and still be able to see the texture of the patch underneath. So really kind of aggressively buffing them and then finishing with acetone gives a really nice smooth finish to the patch. So here are the finished patches on both hands, and there you can see the thumb. Get a lot of questions usually on how well they wear, and using the peel off base coat has really helped extend the wear for me. To remove them, you soak them off with acetone, so if you're normally using a polish remover that has acetone in it, that can start to wear away with them. I'd maybe recommend using a non-acetone polish remover. Also, a lot of exposure to water can sometimes contribute to them lifting at the edges. But I hope I answered all your questions. If you have any more, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. And I don't know that I'll necessarily go back to updates in my videos, but I will try to post more updates on my Instagram. So if you're not following me over there, there's a link down in the information box, and you can follow me on all my social media there. Of course, subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and as always, thanks for watching.